are and other aircrafts of unladen weight not exceeding 2,000 kilograms are subject to VAT. Further, some spare parts of tariff numbers 8803 are expressly exempt from VAT. However, VAT exemption on any other aircraft spare parts imported by aircraft operators, all persons engaged in the business of aircraft maintenance, is contingent upon recommendation by the competent authority responsible for civil aviation. This process creates administrative burden on the taxpayer to comply with the requirements. Mr. Speaker, we have also noted that the cost of aircraft maintenance and training activities has been high, prompting airlines to prefer undertaking these activities in other jurisdictions. In order to ease the process of VAT exemption on aircraft spare parts and encourage investment in this area, I propose to the National Assembly to remove the VAT on all aircraft simulators for training our pilots and aircraft spare parts. This proposal to expressly exempt from VAT on all aircraft and spare parts of Chapter 8.8 will spur the growth in the aviation sector and reduce the administrative burden of accessing its VAT exemption. Mr. Speaker, the international best practices is to charge VAT on all goods and services, and especially those that have undergone some form of processing. This is not the case in our VAT regime, as some of the goods have undergone some processing, are also exempt from VAT, while others are zero rated. This has impacted on the tax expenditures. In order to bring down the tax expenditures and also align with the international best practices, I propose to the National Assembly to rationalize goods and services in the first and the second schedules of the VAT Act by transferring some goods and services from zero rating to exempt status and from exempt status to taxable at the standard rate. Mr. Speaker, over the years, the petroleum products have received preferential tax treatment, gradually transitioning from exempt status in 2013 to 2018, and 8% at VAT from 2019 to date. This is irrespective of the fact that suppliers of petroleum products claim other input tax at the general rate of 16%, which means that the government has been sharing the burden of the input tax with business by subsidizing the difference of the general rate of 16% and the preferential rate of 8%. As a result, these practices and outcomes, the oil marketers have been in perpetual credit position and not paying VAT to the exchequer. This practice is discriminatory, and as business in other sectors of the economy bear the input tax by recovering the same from output VAT charged on the final consumer. Mr. Speaker, on reviewing the VAT forward over the years, and government would end up correcting the VAT after some time. Mr. Speaker, if the anomaly is not corrected at the earliest stage, the buildup of credits will continue to increase, and should the government seek to charge VAT at the standard rate in the future, it would take years for the government to collect the much needed revenue from this sector, since the credits have to be exhausted before businesses start paying VAT. The continued practice by government to subsidize cost of fuel by levying a preferential rate of 8% distorts the market, yet the economy should be operating on the principles of demand and supply. Mr. Speaker, in this respect, I propose to the National Assembly to amend the VAT Act to remove the preferential rate on the petroleum products so that the products will be subject to the standard VAT at 16%. Mr. Speaker, the brew economy remains largely untapped despite its huge potential. This is particularly due to low investments in maritime activities over the years. In order to spur investment and attract international sea freight in this sector, I propose to the National Assembly to zero-rate inbound international sea freight offered by registered persons. The government will continue exploring ways of providing more incentives to promote investment in this sector. Mr. Speaker, currently, machinery used by pharmaceutical companies are exempt from VAT on importation. This is meant to complement government's effort to ensure that all Kenyans have access to affordable health care. However, we have received numerous petitions to extend the exemption to locally purchased machinery to further boost access to healthcare services.